Hello YouTube. In this video I'm going to be going over my top e-bikes in 5 categories, and then if you guys could put your top 5 in the comments, I think that'd be really cool. It'd be interesting, you know, to see where everybody's at. There's probably going to be some e-bikes in there that I've never heard of. All right, let's do this. Okay, this first category is going to be budget. Now, this is the bike I always recommend when a buddy comes up and says, Sam, I'm sick of waiting for an Uber. I'm tired of waiting for a Lyft and then paying their outrageous prices just to go a couple of blocks and back. Well, it's the Lectric XP. I mean, at around $1,000, you'd probably make that money back in rideshare savings in a couple of months. The bike will end up being free. Now, this is also a great bike to throw on the back of an RV, cruise around the campgrounds. It's got decent range, decent speed. It folds up if you need it to. And, you know, just because this is low budget, that doesn't mean it's low quality. I was very impressed with the build quality of this bike, the fit, the finish. When I rode it, it felt solid, it handled well. And I don't know why, but this particular style of bike, it feels kind of like a sit-down scooter to me. And it could be because of the tall handlebars, I'm not sure. But it was actually kind of fun. Now, there is a runner-up in this category, and that's why my next sentence is always, if you want to spend a little bit more money, there's the Ariel Rider 48-volt and 52-volt. That's a different style of bike. It's going to give you some more features, rear suspension, but that's another great quality bike at a good price. Okay, for this next category, that's going to be commuter. This is going to be a bike that you're going to want to jump on and zip across the city in heavy traffic, and that's going to be the Onyx RCR. This bike handles great in traffic. It's nimble. It's got narrow handlebars for getting in between cars, and it's got the power and speed to get out of the way if you need to. Now, I also see this bike in a delivery type role because the seat is fairly low and it's easy to get on and off the bike, and the bike's not extremely heavy. Now, there are a couple of downsides. One's going to be the price. It is a bit pricey. And 2 is going to be the range. If your commute is less than 20 miles, but you're able to charge the bike at your destination, you're probably going to be okay. But if it's over that, or if you're using the bike in a delivery role, then I would definitely opt for the larger battery. And reliability's been great with this bike as well, so you're not going to have to worry too much about breaking down on the side of the road. Okay, this next category is going to be off-road, and this is for somebody who's using the bike primarily for off-road, maybe a weekend kind of thing, and that's going to be the Suron or the Segway X260. Now, I wasn't going to include these bikes at all because I didn't consider them e-bikes, but that's when you do what every normal, rational human being does. You sit down and you have a serious conversation with yourself, and you say, self, why don't you consider those e-bikes? Well, they don't have pedals. Now, wait a minute. The Onyx and the Enduro, the pedals on those bikes are just novelties. They're just there to put your feet on. They're more of a loophole kind of thing. You can't exclude the bikes just because of that. And besides, you can always add pedals to them if you want to. So basically, either won or lost that argument, depending on how you look at it. And I do consider them e-bikes. And when you look at the way that they're made, they have an MX style frame. And then the motor and the battery are in the center for weight, just like the regular motocross bike would have its motor, transmission, and gas tank in the middle. And then they have a mid-drive motor that's going to allow you to change the gearing. Say you're on a track with a long straightaway, you're probably going to want to gear it for top end. Or if you're on a tight track, you're going to want to gear it for more torque, for some boost coming out of the corners. If you're really going to hammer this bike, I mean some serious off-road, they come with D&M forks and D&M shocks. I mean, you might want to upgrade those. Now, I'm not saying these bikes can't be used for on-road. There's a lot of people that use them strictly for on-road. They turn them into supermotos, which is really cool. Now, if you're going to use them on the street, they do come with knobby tires. Now, if you're going to do a 50-50 kind of thing, I think the Shinko 241s would work perfect on this bike. Okay, this next category is going to be convenience or portability. Just a bike you want to grab and throw in the back of your SUV, or you're going to hop on it and putt around the neighborhood. And yes, I did let the cool factor get to me on this one, but it is the Super 73 Z series, the Z1 and the ZX. Now, these are small mini bike style e-bikes. They have a low seat height, so they're easy to hop on and off of. And they're light. They weigh in at about 60 pounds, so you can kind of throw them around. Now, they're very simple e-bikes. They don't have a lot of features. They don't have a lot of gadgets. The ZX is going to be a bigger bike, and it's going to give you an aluminum frame and a larger battery, and you'll get a few features with that one. Now, the downside to these bikes is the price. They are pricey for what you're getting, or I should say for what you're not getting, especially especially when you compare it to other bikes on the market in this same price range. Now, I know a lot of you, as far as this category is concerned, you may have picked a folding bike, but I wanted to ask you something on that because we never fold that Lectric XP. I think we folded it one time. We were going to transport it in the kitchen of the RV, but that's about it. Most of the time it just goes on the rack. So please, if you guys get a chance and you have a folding bike, let me know if you actually use that feature or is it just a novelty. Okay, this last category is going to be overall. It's going to be the e-bike you would have if you can only have one. And I took some things into consideration like the price, speed, range, and the cool factor. I mean, you got to have that, right? And I came up with the 12,000 watt Enduro e-bike from Enduro e-bikes. I feel like the $4,500 price tag on that bike's going to give you some great performance. Your speed's going to be somewhere around 60 miles an hour. Your range, your real range is going to be right around 40 miles. I just compared it to other e-bikes, and just for me personally, I would just miss the speed and power too much. Now, I do have a runner-up in this category, and that's going to be the Super 73 RX. That's just because I like it. You know, I like the way it looks. It's got a cool factor to it. I like the way it rides, and maybe some of you would put the Ariel Rider X-Class 52 volt in this spot, or even the top spot. And you know what? Let's talk about Ariel Rider for a minute. You know, where is their sport model? Where is the R model? That's just something that I look for when I'm shopping for an e-bike. Now, I know they have the Grizzly, but that's just still more of a utility bike to me. Now, let me give you an example. Let's step over to the auto industry for a minute. I'm going to pick on Mazda. Now, they're not the first or only ones to do this, but they took their everyday economy car, their go back and forth to work car, the Mazda 3, and they turned it into something cool. They turned it into the Speed 3, a 270 horsepower turbocharged manual transmission only hot hatch. And it just changed the image of that entire model line. And that's something that Ariel Rider needs to do here. The X-Class 52 volt would be the perfect bike to do that with. And it wouldn't take much. Use some D&M forks, D&M shock. Now, I know D&M's not the best, but they are the cream of the crappy ones. Get rid of that adjustable stem and those handlebars. Throw on a fixed stem, some mid-rise BMX bars, and a twist throttle. Change out the tires. You can get rid of the cassette and the derailleur because you're not going to use it anyway. There you have it. The Ariel Rider X-Class 52 volt R. All right, that's a mouthful. Let's go with Ariel Rider XR class. I feel like it has the cool factor. You could throw a $3,000 price tag on it and it would still be in there with the competition. And I just think it would change the image of that model line, maybe the image of the entire company. All right, guys, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed that. Please don't forget to put your pics in the comments. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next video.